What's up, guys? It's Caliber here,
And the Beast.
And I'm Tara.
and what do we come and talk about today, guys? But before you guys or whoever says what we're going to talk about, I would like to remind everybody that our schedule has changed, so we're going to be uploading Wednesday instead of Thursday.
Yes. I guess our videos today is going to be,
Bees knees.
no, not bees knees.
Not the knees of bees.
Maybe future topic. Anywho, we're going to be talking about the difference between friends and acquaintances, because I think a lot of people get those misconstrued.
Yeah.
Do you want to go off on this?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be straight up honest here. I don't know much about either subject, so I'm gonna let y'all go. That way, y'all can educate me in the process.
Which is not a problem. A lot of people don't know the difference between it because it's not. It's a lot harder in today's society, kind of, to interpret that very well because.
Well, I have a few
social media.
examples.
Huh?
I have a few examples.
Yes, we'll go on with that. Yes, I mean the reason I say that it's harder in today's society to know what that is because social media and all, friends are a little bit more defined differently than what they used to be, per se. But go on with your examples.
My example is going to be like, okay, so obviously I'm friends with you guys, and I'm friends with bats, but there are people I've met in real life, like pretty much. Yeah, everyone I met at therapy, a couple of them, like, I added to my Facebook, but I don't talk to them. One of them wished me a Happy New Year, and, I mean, there was nothing wrong with our relationship when we were, in therapy together. We were very communicative, but, I mean, separate lives, and we, like, it's not a communication thing. We just weren't that close.
Right. Which you can know an acquaintance pretty well, or they're just somebody in passing, and just somebody that you know of, or whom you know directly or not indirectly.
I think there are people that like you just work with, or you just talk to, or you just see them twice a week or something.
Right. Acquaintances really just you don't have any mutual fraternization with, except for either commerce, passing, or just general like conversation and just passing the time. It's usually what an acquaintance is. There's usually no tie on either end. Sometimes one might consider the other one to be a friend, but it kind of goes both ways to be friends. Friends, on the other hand, they have more of a understanding of each other. They have a wanting to be around each other, speak to each other, and they kind of want to do things that they both like to do together. If that's not in conversation, that could be in some form of like activity or something in that manner. So, the reason I bring this up is because there's some younger people, older people even, just people of this generation. And generation, I don't mean by age groups, I'm just saying generally of the times. Where
the generation of social media, where someone's like, oh, I have like X amount of friends, and they're all Facebook friends that, they like each other's posts, they don't talk to each other, they're in the same groups. They may have a lot in common, but they don't even know each other's first names.
Right, and a lot of it I blame on social media, how it's set up. TikTok, for example. There's a follow button, and when the person follows you back, or vice versa, you follow them back, you become what they call friends. TikTok friends, or you have Facebook friends, or social media friends.
Here's an example of a one-way relationship. I'm going to straight up call this person a fan because I don't even know who they are. I know they watch my YouTube videos. I know that they follow me on pretty much every platform that I have public to that community. They will tag me in things and be like, oh, this person knows what I'm talking about. They're like my best friend. I don't know your first name. I don't even know what you look like. My best friend, I'm... So, I take best friend very I don't know. It's like a loose thing, but it's also like kind of like a serious thing. Like you have best friends, you have friends, and then you have like acquaintances, then you have strangers, and then you have enemies. Um, and I don't know this person at all, and she is under the impression that we are best friends. I've never had a conversation with this girl. And I mean, I know who my best friends are, and it's you and your wife and Bats, who is actually coming to my house on the 20th because that's what best friends do. She knows where I live. She's going to come to my house, and we're going to hang out for like 2 hours, and then she's going to go home. Who the fuck this bitch is who's tagging me on things, being like, I'm your best, like this is my best friend. Since when? So,
Theoretically, I'm your best friend as well, so.
yeah, but I'm also engaged to you. So like there's like say this is you. Your best friends. They're like hugged around you, and this is what spouses are. That was more violent than I intended it to be.
I assure you, I'm not that bad.
That seems pretty violent.
Spouses are like this, man.
Yeah.
That seems a very violent interpretation.
You can't shake your spouse off.
Although I want to say one thing, and just one thing on this. If you're dating somebody, you don't have to be friends with their friends. You can have your own set of friends.
Actually, it's healthier to do that as well.
Like, of course, I know Bats. Bats is like, she's more of a friend, or actually, she's more of a sister to me than anything.
When you become any relationship, eventually you just become one.
I mean, considering I see her as a sister, when you marry me, she'll be your sister anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But he's like my brother, his wife is like my sister, and it's so on and so forth.
See, that's like best friend is where like you consider the person like your family, and like obviously you don't have to consider all friends your family, but how do I don't know how to put that in words. I lost it. It was here and then it was gone.
I think the best way to put this is obviously me and Beast are friends with Dizzy, correct? But you more see her as an acquaintance, right? She's just someone you know.
Who? Him for Bats?
No, Dizzy.
Oh,
Dizzy is an
yeah.
acquaintance to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to touch on the family thing because here's something that a lot of people don't understand, which we actually talked about this in therapy, but so I'm going to do two things that we talked about in therapy. So online friends are great and all, but if you never take the steps to make that online friendship anything more than what it is, then it's seen as a real friendship, but at the same time you're limited, and for some reason as humans there is something we get from being in the same proximity as another human being that you cannot get over the computer. You cannot touch somebody, be in the same room as them, and it's a different experience being their friend.
Well, I agree with it. Yes, I agree. Yes and no. I think friends, you can. How do I put this?
Well, I'm not saying you always have to be in the same room as the person, and I'm not saying the online friends aren't no friends.
I think you're thinking of intimacy.
Hmm?
I think you're thinking of intimacy, and I think that holds true to, like, say, down the line for you two. Eventually, I know that you guys have that, but you also have your intimate times as well. I don't think intimacy or friendship has to be physical in any sense.
No, what I'm talking about is
don't touch your friends, people. I mean, that's just what I'm saying here. Don't touch your friends. don't touch your friends.
Don't touch your friends. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there's some form of comfort of seeing it kind of goes into the theory of relativity that things only exist when you can see them.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's something about you can talk to. So I have an online not relationship, but online friendship with somebody that I met in therapy, and they strike me as an entirely different person over text than they do in real life, just talking.
Okay.
And I personally really don't like talking to them over text. And because of the person that they are over text, I no longer want to talk to them in real life. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Is it who I'm thinking it is?
Like, obviously, so friendships like this, where, you can talk to each other, they're a little easier. They're a lot easier to deal with. I can see your face, I can see your facial expressions, I can hear your voice. When you go running off because freaking your kid's climbing a dresser, I know that it's not because of something that I said that you just stopped replying, because I watched you physically get up and go, Meow. Versus, I think that's where the line is because stuff like Skype helps. But if you're just talking to someone over from a group on Facebook or on Instagram or something like that, and you never even bother to get this step, like, how are you really friends if you never even took it to this step?
Right. I agree with
that. That's where I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you one thing.
I want to talk about. Oh, what?
One thing I absolutely hate, and I expressed about this on my Instagram story, is getting thrown in a group chat with a bunch of people I don't know.
I was put in that same group chat, and I actually had 3 of those members blocked, so I was out here.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the family thing, and I think there are a lot of people who live in denial about this because they haven't had it happen to them yet. First off, humans are awful creations, and stuff like blood ties don't matter. And I mean that in both aspects. I mean, just because you have family and just because, they put up a front and say they care about you, that doesn't mean they're going to come save you. That doesn't mean that they're your friends. They may care about you, but that does not mean that, they're going to let you sleep on your on their couch, like something happens to you. And I think some people get that really confused. I know that I have personally, so I had a cousin stay with me once, and, stuff started to go missing from my roommates. This wasn't where I live now, it was where I used to live before. Stuff went missing from my roommates. And then when that cousin reached out to me again, he was not given a hand for help, and I was seen as a bitch. And I don't think that being somebody's family member matters in that aspect. So just because, you're, like, I'm sure somewhere I still care about this person, but am I going to let him sleep in my house? No. Am I going to help him in any way? No. He can deal with it himself. He is an adult. And, I believe that there's some people out there that don't understand that believe that their family's going to be there for them no matter what, and they tend to walk all over their family. Just because they're related to you, it's the same thing as friendships. Just because they're related to you doesn't mean that you can walk all over them. Just because you're somebody's friend doesn't mean you can walk all over them. Everyone has a limit. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. And I think
I was thinking about beanies. Because they're tiny and cute and little bendy. They're like bendy straws. Anyway.
Well, I think I know what you're. I think the reason that is because back when it used to be a big thing to be family, we were taught that, and it was a good thing. It was just something families got together. You had family to get together. So I remember always hanging a lot with my cousins and such. Nowadays, it's so hard to kind of do that anymore, but just because of how we are. You don't dare go to somebody's house anymore, even if you're friends or not, without making a phone call first. I remember back when I was growing up that family members would just come out of the blue, not unannounced, just come to your house, and it's like a big ass surprise. Your grandmother would go get out a freaking like a pie she had set in the freezer, set just in the case of a guest coming over, and you'd go over there and freaking just have fun talking and catching up and all that jazz. Just because that's how everybody was, and then, you had your friends throughout school and such, but a lot of the summers and such, you would go to like family events, So that you got that kind of like that base family value type of deal, and then that's how families got close. But now that that's not so much the case anymore, family is just people too. They have their faults, they have their ups and their downs, and if you don't establish any type of like connection with them, then yeah, it's just a title. There was no times to give you a bonding period. If you never bond, a cousin's still a person on the street that just so happens to share a genetic trait with you. At this point, before it was like, oh, that was my cousin, but that used to mean like we spent like summers together getting in so much mischief, and it was. But now that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
And also to go along with that, like if you do something wrong and they know about it, if I guess if it's negative enough, family will just ditch you.
Even then, you don't have to do anything, and they'll still ditch you. Family are some of the quickest people that'll turn on you in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah, because here's something I've heard a lot, and it's I don't have to like you, I just have to love you, and you don't even have to love your family. Technically, genetic disposition only forces you to love your immediate caregiver.
Which would be your mother or father.
They don't even have to be blood related to you.
Oh.
It's your immediate caregiver. As an infant, you latch on to the people that take care of you, and that is the bond you hold on to for an extended period of time. It's why, mothers and their children are the ones to be like, because mothers are usually, I'm not saying always, mothers are usually far more involved in the caregiving aspect of infants. So that's why there's usually a bond there. But like most mothers see no fault in their children. That doesn't mean the rest of your family is going to see those faults.
Yeah.
And I think people look at the relationship they have with their mothers. Like, you have those 25-plus-year-olds who still live with mommy and believe they're going to continue to live with mommy for the rest of their life. What happens when mommy dies? They think, oh, my family will take me in. What makes you think your family cares about you that much? They're gonna let you be the leech that leech the life out of your mother. I mean, that's how a lot of people look at it. Like, that's how a lot of families, if you look at that dynamic from family to family to family, you look at the kid who stayed with their mom too long, you look at how the family looks in on that, they look down on that. They look down on the kid because you should have left your mom by now, she deserves her space, this, that, and the other thing.
Well, I think it becomes a very different thing when you throw in things like mental illnesses and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, no, but that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. But I think, after everything you're saying about that, like, yeah, my mom took care of me and she did stuff for me when I was younger. But who were there majority of the time? My grandparents.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I take to them more.
Yeah. But it's exactly that thing. It's bonds. Not the same thing with friendship is. If you don't bond with somebody, or if someone doesn't bond with you back, then you're on the end of a requited friendship, and they only see you as an acquaintance.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I'm done rambling. Are you done rambling?
I don't have anything else, so I guess the video is over. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. This is the Storm Family signing out.
Seriously, look up beanies.
We will. Anyways, guys,